Absolutely incredible. Real Madrid against PSG as we welcome in Frank Leboeuf and Gab Marcotti. Just a reminder, PSG 1-0 up going into the second leg, and they were cruising. Kylian Mbappe dominating, absolutely brilliant for the opening hour of this game. He'd score a lovely goal to give them a 2-0 aggregate lead. And honestly, at halftime, if you bet on Real Madrid, congratulations, but most would have called you stupid to have done that because they looked like they had absolutely no chance. But a moment that changed the game, Donnarumma losing the ball. PSG fans and Pochettino wanted a foul on the goalkeeper. It wasn't given. It comes to Vinicius. He finds Benzema, 1-0, and then PSG absolutely collapsed. Benzema got 2 more goals. PSG couldn't respond, and it's Real Madrid who advance to the quarterfinals against all odds. PSG out, humiliated, and embarrassed. Ali, where do we start?
Let's start with the fact that everything that we thought this game was going to be like, it was for the first 60 minutes or so, where Real Madrid, early high pressure. We're going to try to force a mistake. We're trying to score an early goal, get the crowd into it. Here we go. PSG were able to withstand that. They were able to withhold that. And Real Madrid had no choice but to keep coming. Okay. What did that do? Was going to open space for a counterattack. To whom? Kylian Mbappe. Yep. So if you're PSG, you're thinking, exactly, this is what we knew was going to happen. It is going according to plan. We're going into halftime 1-0, 2-0 in the aggregate. Perfect, beautiful, gorgeous. Nothing to see here. We're awesome. And then, how does a team with so many players, of so much experience, so expensive, of so many successful careers individually on that field, on one moment, just completely fall apart? Where there is no structure, there is no organization, there is no leadership, there is no presence, there is nothing but 11 guys running around. And those are the ones that were running around because there were a few that were just walking as well. The level of embarrassment of this particular last 30 minutes of the game for PSG, I think, in some ways, in so many ways, is even more embarrassing than the comeback by Barcelona years ago. This is a referendum on the individual player and then on the group. On the individual player, because there are some guys out there that the body language said, well, we don't know what's happening out here and we're not interested in solving it. And then as a team, because of the structure of a group, the last 30 minutes of the game, there was only one team on the field, the definition of a team, and that was Real Madrid. PSG, nowhere to be found. Embarrassing.
Frank, it really was incredible, that capitulation that we saw from the moment they conceded the first goal. The back line just turned into mush. They couldn't control the ball. They couldn't get it out of their own half. Real Madrid all of a sudden had all the pressure. Benzema was brilliant. But how on earth do you explain that from a PSG perspective?
I don't know, Dan. I can't even explain that. I was watching the game, and as Ali said, everything was written for 60 minutes. We had what we expected to watch. Paris Saint-Germain waiting, controlling the game, and play contre-attack and scoring a goal by Kylian Mbappe. And then, as you said, one mistake from the best goalkeeper in the world, and everything disappears. They completely switched off, and they didn't do anything. And again, as Ali said, if you have a young team and with a lack of experience and you say, okay, didn't know what to do, they collapsed mentally, they weren't prepared to do that. But we have fantastic players, and I have to say the adjective fantastic players because they proved that all their career long. We couldn't react. We completely disappeared. The three at front we didn't see. We saw for an hour fantastic Messi. I think it was absolutely fantastic. Also defensively working, but completely disappeared for half an hour. We lost Mbappe. We lost Neymar. Paredes had to go out because he had a stupid yellow card just at the beginning of the game. And at the back, even Marquinhos. I couldn't recognize Marquinhos. Even him made a mistake on the third goal, and nobody was communicating to each other. It was like seeing grown-ups becoming kids, just suddenly, losing all their experience, losing all their mind, not being able to react, which is the worst in the world of football, because you can have problems that you have to sort out, but okay, you concede a goal, but you're still leading because you won at home. But why do you lose your mind like that? Why you can't be again in control of the game? I don't understand. That club, I don't get it. The Barcelona remontada was a huge shame. I had friends from Paris Saint-Germain texting me, what can we do? I want to burn my shirt. So I'm so upset with that because we're so shameful. I'm not a Paris Saint-Germain fan, but as a French guy, I'm ashamed today. Really, I'm ashamed.
What was striking, we talked about it, I think it was it for the second goal. Neymar has the ball up outside Real Madrid's box, gives it away. Luka Modric picks it up, and it's a foot race between 36-year-old Modric and Neymar, and it's not even close.
Right. And it's Luka Modric while dribbling, while having to carry the ball, and Neymar, who should be going at a full sprint to recover the ball because he lost it. He kind of gives it the I'm running, but I'm never going to get there. It is Luka Modric, by the way, that continues his run because that ball ends up going to Vinicius Jr. Yep. He cuts the ball back. You think the chance is gone. And it is Modric who gets his head up and then finds Karim Benzema, while Neymar is walking in the midway line. He's walking at midfield. This guy continued his run at 36 years old. He won the ball back. He ran with the ball. He played the ball to Vinicius, got in the ball, played the ball to Benzema. And then you see desire. You see somebody who wants to win and will do anything and everything in order to win. That's Luka Modric. That's a special player. And as talented as Neymar is, when you see those things and you see the outcome of the play and you see what one guy is willing to do and what another guy who should be part of the leadership of this team out on the field, when you don't see him giving you everything that he has in order to atone for his own mistake. It's not somebody else's mistake, his own mistake. That says a lot about PSG. It says a lot about the club. It says a lot about the individual. It says a lot about the players on the field. Because that's just one example of many over the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, why? Why do we see that, Frank? Why do we see these PSG players not giving as much as the opponents do?
Well, you know, when you have the talent, sometimes it doesn't combine with the strive of working together and the strive of fighting for each other. And some players are so talented that they think that their only duties is to show that talent. Where, as Ali said about Modric, you have to give sometimes more. You have to tackle. Remember that tackle who made Modric against Messi, coming back defensively. Have you ever seen Neymar doing that once? Never. I never seen that since he signed for Paris Saint-Germain. You have to have a warrior mentality at some point. That's what is lacking in Paris Saint-Germain. Yes, the talent is there. Yeah, they are fantastic players, but they don't have that fighting spirit that you need at some point. We see that with all other teams, but I have to say Paris Saint-Germain.
The Messi gamble didn't work, Gab.
Yeah, writ large, it certainly didn't work. I mean, all they have left now is, they're going to win Ligue 1, which they won in years past, not last year, but obviously years before that. This is not why they signed Lionel Messi. And look, I think as the boys were saying, there's different ways to go out. And you obviously need to hold Messi to account because of all the resources you're spending on him. But to have that ending, right? To have Messi and Neymar, two of the greatest players in the world, in Messi's case of all time, to have them unable to show their leadership skills. Two guys who captain their country, two of the greatest countries in world football, and to have them not be able to stop the rot after the equalizer, have them not be able to step up, that leaves a massive cloud, and I don't know how you get out from under that. You're always going to have to balance a superstar, and you have to be realistic. Other people run for superstars. That's what happens. But there's also moments when superstars have to lead by example. And what Ali was describing there with Neymar's so-called chase, on Luka Modric, I think personally encapsulates what was missing. If Neymar goes at a full sprint, even if he whacks Modric and fouls him, if he doesn't get to him, it gives a jolt, it pushes things on, it changes the whole environment around the game, and that didn't happen.
I remember when Messi signed, we were all sat here, obviously genuinely excited about this prospect of Mbappe, Neymar, and Lionel Messi. We were all like, well, look, this is going to be brilliant. For the neutral, this is exactly what you want to see. Three of the best players on the planet on the same team working together. Why hasn't it worked?
Well, and that is a question that every PSG fan, and in fact every neutral, would want an answer for. But I have to say, the talent individually of these three players is not in question here. And that is not something that we can argue about, because obviously in the case of Messi, may be the very best player that we have ever seen out on the field. And whatever Kylian Mbappe ends up becoming, there's so much for him to give. Neymar and his injuries are a different concern. But what really bothers me, because it hasn't worked up until this point, okay, so be it. But you had an opportunity today, right? Yeah. And it's the three of you out there. And I'm not going to lean so heavily on Mbappe, because if there was a player that was dangerous for PSG and that was always a threat for PSG, it was Mbappe. I'm going to lean on Neymar in that he just wasn't very good today. And I'm going to lean on Messi because up until the 60th minute, as Frank alluded to, he had been so very good in dropping underneath into the midfield and combining and giving that sense of confidence to the team in moments of pressure where Real Madrid were pressuring. He was the one getting on the ball, saying, okay, here we go. We can get out of this because of the qualities that I have. And when the team needed these players the most, both Neymar and particularly Messi, he went out to the right-hand side and parked himself towards the line. That is unacceptable. And I'm only talking about this 30 minutes. I'm not talking about the whole picture of Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe and why it hasn't worked. But for this last 30 minutes, when your team is in trouble and you can feel it on the field, you can sense it, it's now your time to say, let me get on this ball. Let me do something that ends up being a game-winning play, because we need a moment here where we need to keep it. We need to hold it, and I can be that guy. And instead, you chose to get yourself out to the right-hand side and park yourself out there hoping to go on a counter. No, the game needed more from Lionel Messi. The game needed more from Neymar. And these guys came up short. And as much as I love Lionel Messi, you saw him walking today the last 30 minutes, and I was pointing it out to you in the screen. It's like, look at this guy. Yeah. You need more than just walking around. What I'll go back to answer your question, eventually I'll get around to it. I'll go back to this. This team has had hairline fractures everywhere over the course of the season. There's always been something going on, something underlying, something that we don't have access to because we're not there every day. But things that have made this team uncomfortable, whether it's Pochettino's issue, Messi issues, Neymar issues, Mbappe contract conversation, hairline fractures everywhere. And in this stage, you cannot hide. In this stage is where all those hairline fractures become a full-on hemorrhage. And that's what we saw in the last 30 minutes. All those things that have been simmering under the surface, they all came up to the surface. And when it came to the surface, none of these guys were able to respond.
Frank, is it just too simplistic? Because Gab brought up the fact that obviously these are players who have captained their national teams, Brazil and Argentina, that they just don't care as much about PSG?
I wouldn't say that, because that will say that they're not professional, and I wouldn't say that. I think it's a combination of many things, where normally they have players around them, working for them, but all of them, 10 players, not only 7 or 8 or 9 players. That's the thing. And going back to your first question to Ali, why it doesn't work? Why with those players it doesn't combine and it doesn't work properly? Go back to the opponent of the day in the early 2000 years, where Florentino Perez wanted only megastars. And I think for a couple of years, I would say even more, Real Madrid didn't win anything because he has the talent, but he didn't have the balance. And you can have, and I always say that, look at the 4 last Champions League winner. You didn't have mega star. You had stars with players playing around them. But those players, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Chelsea, or Bayern Munich, they are a team. They work together. And so I think a mega star is a problem. So having 3 mega stars, you have 3 times the problem, I guess.
Go on, Gab.
I don't know if I fully agree that a megastar is a problem. You can do it. You can do it with 3 megastars. Remember, Messi played with Neymar and Luis Suarez in Barcelona, and they were pretty good. The thing is, you need to have the right ethos in your team, and it has to come from the top. Tonight, I own more than one television, so I was keeping an eye on Manchester City, and this is a team filled with stars. And yet, they go and they fight for every ball. Even tonight, they're 5-0 in the first leg. They weren't mailing it in. They were fighting, they were trying. You have to have that ethos. I think back to Paris Saint-Germain in Ligue 1 this season, and it's because they have a big league and a big lead rather, and everybody else is kind of behind them. I can think of very few of what you would call 90-minute performances from Paris Saint-Germain this year, regardless of whether they have the M&M front line on the pitch or not. It's more like they go a goal down, and then they react, and then they storm back, and they win, or they draw. It's when that's missing, when you don't have that continuity, you don't have that cohesion. It's very difficult, I think, to turn it on. For a Champions League game, especially at the Bernabeu against Real Madrid, against a guy who's, I don't think anybody's won more Champions League titles than the Real Madrid manager has. And we can all point out Paris Saint-Germain's failings, but I think we should also give a little bit of credit to Real Madrid tonight.
I promise. I promise, Real Madrid fans. We will talk about it. Frank, I just want to just talk about one thing that we've missed, and PSG fans and Pochettino, and we know the PSG owners have all come out and complained about the officials for this game and about that opening goal and the foul on Donnarumma from Benzema that was not called. Do they have a point, Frank?
Yes, but the mistake is so big so that you don't know if you can give him a free kick. Yes, there is a charge from Benzema, and Benzema doesn't get the ball. Yes, you could have given a free kick to Donnarumma. Yes, it's a question mark. If you're a Paris Saint-Germain fan, you will say, yeah, it's a foul. If you're a Real Madrid fan, say, of course not, there is nothing. I don't know. You can be the judge. I'm sure that in England it would never be whistled. And maybe in Italy or in France or Spain, it will be. So I don't know. I would say no for me. It's a light charge, not big enough to give a free kick. But I can understand that some people are complaining.
What's interesting about that is that just from a neutral's point of view, a football fan who watched the game, it's difficult to put all your eggs in that basket from an outsider looking in, because you think, well, even if it wasn't a mistake from the officials, what happened after that shouldn't happen to a proper team.
Correct. And that you just said there, Dan, you don't always get it right.
Well, Stevie's been on the phone to remind me of that.
That you just said there, a proper team. The word team, right? And in order to be a team, you have to be organized. You have to have structure. You have to have defined roles for players. And when things go wrong, as undoubtedly they will every once in a while on the field, you know exactly what is the shape that we fall into, what is the principles of a group that we have to be able to carry out with some consistency in order to protect ourselves. Look, it's a high-stress situation. What is it that we can call home? What is it that makes us feel comfortable? What is the security blanket that we put on and we feel comfortable as a team, as a group? There is none of that for PSG. There is no security blanket. There is no shape. There is no organization. It's individuals. And as it is the case, when individuals or with individuals at any point that things get uncomfortable, what do individuals do? Their own thing. They separate. They go in all sorts of different directions instead of coming together.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.